Hey, David, what's the date?
March 16th.
No, it's not. We're pre-recording this.
Oh. I thought that's what
We
we're supposed
had
to
a
say.
choice to lie, but I said, no, our podcast doesn't lie.
Did you like
Everything
that I
see is-
immediately lied?
Well, look, I'm here to bust you on it.
Yeah.
That's why we're partners.
That's true.
Yeah, you lie like a cool breeze.
You lie like a rug.
You lie like a lie.
We got Bert Kreischer.
Anyway,
on
Bert Kreischer has a special out today.
Razzle Dazzle. Is that
Razzle
it? That's a
Dazzle.
good name.
Bert Kreischer
You know,
has a special Razzle Dazzle.
by the way, Dana, I got a lot of good feedback from the Brendan Fraser show.
Oh, okay. What
And
was
this
it?
producer even said, he was in The Whale. You should do a movie about your dick called The Minnow. And I go, well, I don't know. I got the podcast. I got so much going on right now.
Why would the producer have an opinion about
don't
the
know.
size of your appendage? Is it guesswork based on thumb size?
He
or
says,
is
don't get mad. I'm just
the
brainstorming. I go, all right, well, listen, there's no bad
he told
ideas.
me the same thing. He told me I should have a special called Big Cock. I go, I don't work blue, but I
Big
said that's
cock
kind of,
and little pubes.
It's Big Cock on Netflix. Yeah,
This is good for the Bert intro because this is
Rhino.
We got kind of raunchy with Bert.
Why do they say it's a compliment to guys hung like a rhino? Have you ever seen rhino genitalia?
No, they're not
I don't
known
care
for big
what
ones.
the size is.
Well, you can't compete with a horn in the front. They say rhinos' wieners are about
That's
a
why they're
third of the
going
horn.
extinct.
Yeah.
No one wants to fuck them, even female
Nobody.
rhinos.
No
we've
animals.
finally gone R. And Greg
We went pretty
and
R.
Evan are the happiest I've seen. Our crew here right now.
He talks about going on a date in quotes with Will Smith. Remember that?
Yes, he has well, first of all, he's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
He's sober when he does our podcast, so his energy is off the charts. He's like kind of human Xanax. I mean, he is just a cheerful, fun human. Well, doesn't he kind of calm you down because he's so effusive?
Yeah.
And he tells this great story about interacting with Will Smith. Hysterical.
He's very huggable. I hugged him a few times during it. He came here to do it.
He didn't mind it, but when you snuck up from behind him and really...
You know what I did? I hid in his chest hair, and then no one said anything. And then when he started talking, I go, surprise!
So you're that small, you can hide in chest hair.
Yeah. And then I saw someone his pubes. I go, I don't want to give it away. He also talks
That's
about
the movie you should make. It's just called Tiny Man, not Ant-Man. And they just,
Ant-Man.
And he and I bond over our mutual fear of flying and our need to have an adult beverage while we're flying.
Yeah.
So he levitated out of his seat when he found out that some tactics I do on a morning flight to get a cocktail because I don't like flying. David loves it.
I hate flying. I flew this week, and I was stuck in coach because of
COVID.
Some lemony snickety unfortunate events. So I'm in the back, and they have like literally a 1 foot curtain like this, so I can't see the people in first class. So I'd go like this, and they go, "Don't look at the rich people, sir." And then someone was watching King Kong on their thing, and I was trying to watch between the cracks, and I see Jack Black, and then they block it with their arm. I'm like, fuck, man, come on, let me watch this.
Because you didn't have movies in coach?
I didn't have anything.
We're going to get people sending you devices to watch. I'm going to send you a mini iPad.
No, I think they got confused because when I got to the gate, I go, put me in, coach. And then they go, okay. And I go, no, I didn't mean put me in, coach.
They actually didn't even have a keyboard. They just went like this.
You know, like, okay, so what else?
The stuff that happens to you on the road, that's your next book.
My throat is a little trash, but
David has not intentionally got a sultry voice. It's from performing, right?
I apologize for the sexiness, yeah. But it's good, you know?
I
feel like
this too.
I'm still out there trying.
Hey, kid, I'm going to talk like Harrison Ford the rest of the time we do ads. What's the problem, kid?
Oh, God, I had a joke in my voice. I can't even think about it. Anyway, that's it. All right, let's just keep going. Enough about us. Oh, yeah, the doctor said, try not to interrupt people for a week. And I said, oh, no, come on.
Oh, we practice cross-talking.
Don't say that.
Twice a week, it's like training. We get on the phone and go, okay, I'll talk, you talk. And we talk over each other.
That was it.
Just to keep in shape, because heaven forbid we let the other guy talk. You want to practice?
Fuck these guests, man.
3,
They talk.
2,
They got enough.
1. Yeah,
All right,
I don't
here
know why
comes
everyone's
Bert.
trying
He's
to
going to
Bert.
talk a
He's
lot.
going to
So
talk
get
a lot.
excited.
I love Bert.
Bye.
Bye.
So I was gonna do. I got an offer to write a self-help book. Here's my pitch. Okay. I think you guys will understand this.
Oh, definitely. We're all over this. I was listening to your podcast. I have more fear of flying and more neurosis around flying and having beer than you do, if that's possible. But we should fly together.
I would like to go tit for tat on that because my flying has got. I remember one time, so I'm ritualistic when I fly. Before I fly in the shower, I have to wash every part of my body, and then I have to squat down like a catcher and say prayers. And I do certain rituals in my prayers. I circle every family member in my family 3 times in case I die. I just make sure they're wrapped in love. And then I do. I'm going to sound like a fucking lunatic. My name is Bert Kreischer, guys. I'm actually a comedian.
Bert, when I would occasionally get private jets provided for me, I would have the beer here. And going down the runway.
Oh, we definitely have to fly together.
Yeah. When we took off, that made the beer go, and that's as we took off.
You would drink every time. Don't worry, we cut all the comedy out of this at the end.
This is more of a self-help one with Bert.
So I've done so in my rituals, I get through my rituals, and then one of the rituals was I had to respect the fear. Because if I didn't respect the fear, like these other idiots who were just sitting there thinking, I'm just going to work. Those are the fuckers that die because they don't respect the fragility of life. I'm respecting it by drinking my fucking face off and going, this is how we'll get there. I mean, my flying got so bad that now I've flown this month sober, and in a weird way, I can watch the anxiety creep in. It's almost like a whisper, like an asshole friend. Yeah.
Hey, Bert, I just want to remind you, you're going to die in a couple minutes.
And it happens in an instant.
Yeah.
You won't even know.
You won't even care that you're flying.
Yeah.
You know, when planes make that noise, it goes, ee, like when you take off, I think they all do it. But in my head, I always go, this is what you hear in the movies when you're like going down. And I go, no one's even looking that this is a weird noise.
Whoa. Well, wait a minute.
There's always a point when I think I'll die
David,
on a flight.
There's a new flight. This is a commercial flight, but there's the 787 10X. Like I know every plane.
I do too. By the way, I know more about planes than pilots. That's so funny. I know everything.
You're like my brother from another mother.
I know the seats on every plane. I know where you don't want to sit and where you do want to sit.
Yeah.
So there's a keep going.
The 787 engines are so quiet. It flies different than any other plane, and you can fly it from LA to Newark.
Yeah.
But you're doing all the short hops. But when I flew back, I took off completely. I just do my breathing. Nothing in me, because it's too embarrassing. 8:30 flight. Excuse me.
It's embarrassing if you're Dana Carvey and you're putting back cocktails when you're Bert Kreischer. Respect. Let me tell you something. Double Jack on the rocks, lots of rocks.
I only drink beer, but my wife only wants coffee, so she'll get coffee and a Heineken.
How the fuck did we marry these dead inside human beings who can have a cup of coffee and not respect the fragility of life?
For me, she orders a Heineken for herself.
Oh, hold on. Me, you, and Ric Flair. Me, you, and Ric Flair. Hold on. I swear to God, I'm sitting next to
I drink mine and hers, and then I put both empty bottles on her tray and go, I can't stop her. She's lush.
Dana, I've never connected more with a human being other than my wife than you right now. Ric Flair and I are on a flight.
Okay.
I'm next to my wife. He's next to his wife.
Yes.
The lady comes back. She goes, can I get you guys something to drink?
What time is it?
7 in the morning.
Perfect.
7 out of Charlotte, I think. And,
Charlotte's a motherfucker.
It's a beast. Can I get you a cocktail? And she goes to Rick, and Rick says, double Bloody Mary for me and a double Bloody Mary for her. And he goes, interesting. So he comes over to me. Can I get you a drink? And I said, I'm going to take a double Jack on the Rocks. Do you want a double Jack on the Rocks? And she's like, my wife nods.
Right.
So we both get our Jack in the Rocks. What I do is I drink hers first because she's the alcoholic in this.
Yes.
And as I do it, I look over. Ric Flair's already murdered his wife's drink, and I go, I'm drinking like Ric Flair. Like we all have the same cheat code when we get on a plane. I used to fly with my producer for Travel Channel and pretend she was my wife so that I could make her drink and I could have her drink.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a lot of tricks of the trade. I used to have the early days. I'd have a bucket of 10 beers between my
Jesus.
I've way slowed down. I've gotten better. I don't fly like you do. Like I only fly 5 times a year, so I don't go on.
Yeah, but you do too. You try to do a bus.
I live in a bus. But I have to fly in and out, and I fly to do 2 Bears, 1 Cave. I fly. So my month will go. I'll have 1 week off. Right now, it's been
1 bear, 4 caves. Is that how it is? It just mixes up a little bit.
There's bears and caves of all kinds.
I'll go on the road. I'll do 1 week on the road. Then I'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Austin to do 2 Bears. Then go back straight out on the road. And then I'll come home for a week. Right now I'm going to my daughter's parents' weekend for my week off, and
bummer.
then I'll go back on a road. Yeah, no shit. And then I go back
Well, I give
sober.
you-
I can't even go to a college fucking
I give
party.
you a lot of respect, man, for flying sober on these little hopper planes in lightning. And we're going to ask everyone to take a seat for a while. We're going to have some, So have you been traumatized, truly terrified on a plane because of an engine failure and stuff like that?
I've had a number of incidents with horrific. I had one time. This is one of those clarity moments. I was sitting next to one of my cameramen. We were flying from Canada or from Alaska down to LA, and we had horrible turbulence out over Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
And he was like, what are you freaking out over? And I said, I feel like I haven't lived my life. I haven't lived, like I haven't fulfilled what I want to accomplish in my life. And he looks at me and he goes, do you realize how insulting that is? I said, what? He goes, I've been filming you live your life. He goes, I've done nothing then. And I went, you should be drinking now.
That's a funny twist. Well, I've seen flight attendants burst into tears, engines conked out, emergency landings. Without the seatbelt, I'm not in the seat, things flying around. So then I think, aren't we kind of wired for neuroses in a way? If you're a sensitive instrument, you're a comedian, you're trying to notice everything, then I just find the whole premise. I've flown with you into Texas once. It's pretty wild.
Well, I'm like powder.
You get super calm.
Yeah, I feel a
He's
lot
like
of things.
water and
I have used powder as an example, as a joke so often. and not a lot. The director of that got caught molesting boys.
No.
Maybe allegedly. I don't know. Maybe
mean,
someone Google that.
That's a
but
bummer.
no, but I've used that because I've used Powder so much.
Powder is great.
Powder's one of the best movies ever.
Oh, okay.
It's a real tearjerker. It's about a kid that gets
Okay.
picked on. He's got all these powers, and he's very sensitive. And I don't have the powers. I'm just a sensitive pussy guy.
I thought you meant you guys are like powder. You're like sand. You're
No,
like-
that might be
No,
better.
he's hairless.
I'm like
He's a hairless
Powder.
albino.
I'm a combo between Lucas and Powder. Because I went out for football when I weighed 114 and I got fucking cremated.
Why would you go out for one? I love
'Cause I'm
flag
trying to fit
football.
in.
When tackle football came in and I was 5'1", 93, I went to track. I said no.
Yeah, my uncle told me to go in gymnastics. I go, why don't I just blow dudes? He's like, it's up to you. But
You could do the iron cross.
I could
Probably.
do. I did the horse. I did.
You did the pommel horse?
Oh yeah, Florax. I did
No wonder you're so jacked.
parallel bars. I was ripped.
You're like wiry muscle.
It's good if you want to go into friend jail for the rest of your life with all the. They go, there's a lot of chicks in there, and I go, yeah, but I'm their friend. I mean, they go, you wouldn't be straight if you were in. I go,
Could you get girls in high school?
no, it was
with the
no
pommel
fame.
horse.
No, it was all.
I love that you said no fame.
Well, of course, it's fucking
Well, no.
exponentially.
Well, like Mickey Rooney told me, money, i.e. fame, money makes you handsomer.
It's
That's
true.
it.
I went from nerdy and geeky to interesting. They go, I like the underdog. I go, oh, that wasn't really the idea.
what about you?
I wonder
Bert?
sometimes what kind of pussy I could get now.
You would do great.
Yeah, because I'm landlocked to this fucking
Wife.
menopausal fucking.
Landlocked.
Well, you have a great wife already because she'll hear this and go, "Hi, Bert."
She'll laugh she's just, I don't know. I love her, and so like I have a bit of my new special about it, but I never was like I was never a sex dude. I was more a party dude. Like
Yeah.
I was never. I think I'm very sensitive, and so if I just wanted to fall in love. I remember I was telling someone I'd go to bars in college, and everyone was like, "I hope I get laid," and I was like, "I hope I meet someone who understands me."
Yeah.
Like, I was so
Just
different.
put up with me.
Yeah, or someone that wants to just go get pizza and not go to bars anymore and just hang out.
How old were you when women who wouldn't have looked at you in high school or college were kind of overtly nervous talking to you?
Oh, 49.
So, and you're 48.
I'm 49 now.
Well, we have to remind the audience. This is Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
He is a big-time comedian, podcaster, all around. Very interesting past. We were doing some extra digging. I know you a little bit, but we were doing some digging. And Dana, of course, doesn't know.
No, I have a
as
photographic
much.
memory. Florida State University, which
Yeah.
it have the Gator Bowl
No, that's
Okay.
Florida.
because I played that once.
Yeah, I think I might have been there.
Well, I'd never seen anything.
No, so it was called Gator Growl.
Yes, and
Gator
Tim,
Growl,
when
I've
the
heard of
football players came out, because they all had, it was like Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
They were all stunning. Tim Tebow, right? And when they came, I was behind them. It was beyond the Beatles and Elvis. They
in
went.
those games
That
in
was
college.
that was the
It was at
team.
night. Just
A lot of those dudes went to prison.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think. Well, Tim Tebow was a good guy, but I think Aaron Hernandez was on that team. I think the two brothers were on that team.
because of Harvey Weinstein kind of
I
stuff.
think so.
Okay.
Well,
Code for whatever.
they were at training camp. They didn't know it was for prison. In Tampa, was your first? Oh, here's my first thing. When you were from Tampa, was your first joke? I'm a tampon from Tampa.
Full-blooded
Was that one
tampon.
of the? Full-blooded tampon, even better. You fucking peppered it up. Well, because he was. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, people don't know this,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. If I'll just do it, then you became like the college was named the Party College of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then somehow.
This
And
is
that's
for our dumb
how did you
audience.
become the Party College Guy of the Year? Like, why? How did they find you? And then that you blew up from that.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I just answered a rough question about like what was the if it wasn't for this, I would have never gotten a comedy.
Uh-huh.
And it was this in 1997. Rolling Stone magazine wrote an article about me, calling me the #1 party animal
Right.
in the country
At the number one school.
At the #1 school. So what meant to happen was they were meaning to write an article about Florida State.
Yeah.
And when they got there, they needed a chaperone, someone to take them around. They found me. They just called up a bunch of people. Everyone was like, "You should hang out with this guy Bert. He's been here 7 years. He knows everyone." So they come. They
He's a
party.
lifer.
Yeah, I was. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was like, I don't need to leave.
Yeah.
I can just get another minor. I just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I took this guy around. He goes back, writes the article. Jan Warner's like, it's too broad of subject. Let's just make it about this kid. So then and I have no idea this is going to happen. They end up writing the article about me. I remember getting it, and Beck was on the cover, and I remember thinking it was me for a second.
Yeah,
And I was like, I look
gross.
great. And then I opened it, and it's like a big centerfold of me in a fountain. And the opening line was like, it's taken Bert Kreischer 6.5 years to become the man he is today, the #1 partier at the #1 party school in the nation. And it changed my
Your life.
Overnight. This is before fame was like a thing.
Yeah.
Like where everyone could get it. All of a sudden, I'm
in
doing
college.
That's a
there's
good
no way
point.
To get
Everyone
famous.
is famous now.
Yeah, there's no way under 25 to be famous back then.
Oh, in 1997, the Real World and Road Rules had just started happening like that within that era. That was the only way you get famous.
Yeah.
Famous.
Yeah.
This comes out. I do morning call-ins all morning long. They just get my number, call my room, my house. Oprah's people reached out, wanted to have me and my parents on. I did just all these huge
The
things.
subject was what went wrong.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I remember
Bert
going.
Kreischer, people.
I was an open book. I was like this kid who partied, and if you want to talk to me, I would be like, off the record, and they're like, yeah, sure, off the record, kid.
No.
And so I spilled everything, and then this radio station gave me an opportunity to stand up. They were setting me up to fail. Now you guys will both know this. They had 4 comics that were road dogs go do 20 minutes before me each, and then I closed the show, never having done stand up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a setup.
Yeah, it was a setup, but I killed. I had murdered. I murdered just stream of conscious. Probably
Usually that was literally the first time?
the literal
Great.
first time I got on
usually
stage.
the first time is good, especially if they said,
In a weird
this
way.
is his first
Yeah.
time doing stand-up. Did they say that?
I think it was implied. I think
Yeah.
everyone knew because a lot of the people. I was also pretty famous at the school, so like everyone that showed up knew who I
that
was.
sort of was a
But
trick.
still,
They
Yeah,
didn't
a
that's
little
see
bit.
coming,
It's like Eddie Murphy getting on stage and everyone's like, "Oh shit!" And no, that's not
Well,
the same. But I got offered
Bert,
a morning
yes,
show.
That's amazing.
I got offered their morning show from that thing.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
to be like Zuko.
I was going to be third mic. I was going to be third mic for like a couple months, and then I'd take over the show.
You ever do a?
Wow.
I'm gonna interrupt you. Do you ever do a phoner for a radio station? They go, hold please. All right, when we come back, you're gonna be on with Zippy, Cuckoo, a bird, a parakeet, a robot, and Jim Jim. He's gonna be in the helicopter. All right, you're on. And I go, what's this? It's the Zoo Crew. Go,
Oh,
go.
yeah.
And I'm like, who am I talking to?
They've
Wait.
had caffeine for 3 hours.
Yeah, and they're like,
it's Tommy and the Bull. It's
Yeah.
usually a guy and an animal.
And
Yeah.
Shaniqua. They were always
then a
they
woman,
were
a
always
third.
horrifically under, like just subtly racist as shit, but they didn't know it because no one was calling them on it yet.
yeah.
There was
yeah.
one in Florida called the Q Morning Zoo, and they used to do Tales from
always a zoo.
Taniqua, and it was just a black woman ordering McDonald's, and it was like a 2-minute bit, and it was just a white guy doing what he thought
Right.
a black
Oh,
woman
yeah.
sounded like.
Oh, a white guy doing it?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a black
yeah,
woman.
boy.
Do you think they were going to go out and
Well, we had flip Flip Wilson. He did Geraldine. And that was what we used to do in high school.
Geraldine.
Flip
We
Wilson.
just see me do a character talk like this.
Yeah.
That was his character.
And you're
So it was-
doing
you're
basically doing
Flip-
Geraldine. Yeah.
Yeah, Geraldine.
Now,
So that
Bert,
sounds funny.
let's
But
ask
anyway.
Bert about. Oh, because we have to have some sort of SNL tie-ins because a lot of comedians, are brought up on SNL. You were just talking. You were just mentioning. You might do something with some. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but you were talking about movies and
What's the secret?
how I thought it was interesting. You just said that Tommy Boy and Blues Brothers were similar in the way that you thought Aykroyd was the Farley of that.
Yeah, well, so okay, I mean, it's no lie. Like, the you guys, your people, the people that you guys all know, the SNL and all the actors, all you guys kind of, I'm sure you know this, but you're responsible for not just my sense of humor, but my personality. Like, you when you're a kid, you watch certain people and you go, I'm that guy in our friend group,
Or you don't even know it. You just try to act like, emulate like guys I would see Caddyshack. And you just that's your whole life.
I have now been every character in Caddyshack in my entire life. I've been Ty Webb. I've been Bill Murray. I think I'm Rodney Dangerfield now.
Yeah.
Like I don't like, and so that all those people, like, I am a Belushi Farley guy. That's like, I mean, I read fucking Wired and was like, the first time I took a physical for a TV show, I did what Belushi did. Where fucking smoke, drink, thing. And then the lady's like, hey, just so you know, you're not going to be cleared to do this TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what? She was like, let's rip
not
this
as
one
cool.
up and change our answers. I was like,
Yeah.
I seldomly drink. So, but we were talking, we were talking with this guy, Etan Cohen. Tom and I are doing a project. And we were talking about great buddy comedies. And both of you have been in the best buddy comedy movies ever. Other than Aykroyd, who wrote whoever he starred with, was always the other,
Yeah.
But we were talking about Tommy Boy, and we were saying that immediately you think Belushi is Farley and you are Aykroyd. But when you look at Blues Brothers, technically Aykroyd is Farley and Belushi is you, because he's more straight laced.
Yeah.
he's the kind of straight man in the entire thing, and Aykroyd's the one who's putting super glue on the pedal, and I mean he's doing all the tricks. He's the one driving crazy. It's so fascinating, especially when you start going back. Like when you look and realize half of Bill Murray's movies are movies that were supposed to go to Belushi. Like Ghostbusters was supposed to be Belushi,
Right?
And then you realize, because Belushi's real strength wasn't. I know it sounds crazy that we all see Farley as Belushi, but that wasn't Belushi. It really wasn't. He was in Continental Divide. He was everything he did was a little more straight-laced. The only thing he did was Animal House, but he didn't even fucking speak.
Yeah,
But that was kind of the physical comedy. Put the marshmallows
and
in
it was
his
such a
mouth.
crazy movie around him, and he's the star of it. He looks like, and when he does popping the zit and toga.
It's all physical comedy. Yeah, he didn't
But
speak.
he does do his eyebrows, he does facials, and I think he wanted to do more straight stuff, and so did Farley. So when Belushi does Continental Divide, which not everyone saw, but I thought was interesting with Aykroyd, I think people were a little disappointed because they weren't as crazy as what you thought it would be.
Yeah, or Neighbors.
Oh yeah, Neighbors.
Neighbors was where they flipped the roles.
Yeah.
At the last minute, he goes, you know what? I'm going to play Aykroyd's part. You play my part. And
I'm thinking of Neighbors.
yeah, Neighbors. Yeah.
When he goes, stop switching those cuffs, George. It's a shotgun, or it's going to be Pump City. Yeah.
But I go back, and this is maybe, you guys will know more about this, but what about Some Like It Hot, right?
Okay.
Who was that? That was
Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. And Marilyn Monroe. 1962, 1-2.
So is the dynamic when you play two people, when you look at Wayne's World, and I hate to use you and Farley as the example, but that's like probably the clearest to everyone that like you're Farley, Mike's Spade, right?
That's an interesting question. I think that Mike and I, which it ended up working out so nice, that we just have different styles, but they melded. So we were both being funny in a different way. Like I loved when
It wasn't extremely
Errol's,
opposite. Me and Farley, I think, were more supposed to be opposite. I think he and Mike
you were
were just-
reacting to his shenanigans.
But Mike, a lot of times, will look to the camera and point to you like, this guy.
right.
Like someone's got to be
the voice of reason or something.
off, and someone's got to be
Well,
on.
that's true. Mike would, if there was,
Off and on, yeah.
some storyline he had to deliver, he would do that. I was just sort of outside of everything. in my own little world. Me meaning Garth.
Yeah.
Just sort of. But I loved it. I mean, I love the part where like Tom Hanks said to me once, isn't it great to be the guy next to the guy? Because it is Wayne's world, but I got to just kind of float around in it.
Oh, it's so
But
funny.
you get
I
to
see
score,
that.
yeah.
I see that as different.
The focus is on you.
In what way?
I don't know.
Better to be the guy?
I gravitate towards your character. I identify with your character in that because I'm always a little bizarre. Like I'm always the off guy.
Yeah.
As opposed to the guy who knows what's going on, the guy that can drive the story forward, the guy that goes, hey, we got to go sell these fucking brake pads or we're all going to, and the one guy that goes, I don't know how to sell a brake pad.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's, I find it fascinating because the buddy comedy is like such it's when done right. And you guys have both are maybe the two examples of dudes who have defined the genre. When done right, it's
that's
fucking,
cool.
It's,
Yeah,
but
buddy,
you know that, right?
They're not around as much as they used to be. Even like 48 Hours.
Comedies aren't around the way they
48
used to
hours.
be.
R-rated comedies.
Isn't funny, but for some reason it's funny, right? Like, I mean, it's not.
Such a cool movie.
It's such a cool fucking movie.
Because Walter Hill made badass movies. So it
Did he
has
do
a
The
coolness
Warriors,
to it.
too?
And Nick Nolte is straight. And then they let Eddie kind of, when he went into the bar and did that at the time, it was kind of incendiary, deconstructing all the cowboys and stuff.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, what a cool role for Eddie Murphy to play. Trading Spaces.
Trading Places. Yeah.
Trading Places. I'm thinking
Eddie
of the
Murphy
fucking
makes-
design
Places was
stuff.
great.
Eddie Murphy makes
Another
no
one.
sense to me because at 19, to be who he was, take over SNL, kick ass in the movies at such a young age. But it's kind of common.
keep your head on.
Woody Allen was supporting his parents at 16, writing jokes. Bob Dylan was really young. John Lennon, Paul McCartney. Sometimes people just have it at like 20, 21, and they're superstars.
I did not.
And Eddie was one of
I
those.
really did not. Like, I was the.
Me neither. I was
I-
a waiter till 24, but I was a damn good one.
I was the 35-year-old going into people that owned houses going, how do you do this? Like I
It's
didn't
terrifying to own a house.
I didn't own a house until I was like 39. Like I was really late to the game. Like I didn't get any success until I like worked and stuff, but I wasn't. I look at like when I look back and I look at people's careers and when they popped, I go 32. What the fuck? How did you know how to take a meeting with adults? I take meetings now and they're all my age. Like I don't ever take meetings where I'm talking to someone older than me anymore. I mean, seldomly.
So
But
when you popped after that whole college thing, did you go in the clubs for years?
oh
then?
no, I didn't pop.
Oh,
I
you
moved-
didn't?
Oh no.
No, you still
You had
didn't.
one big night.
I had one good night.
Okay.
That I decided
Oh,
that I go, I'm moving to New York. I was like, I'm gonna move to New York.
And
I'm
you
gonna
got the bug. Was it AIDS?
it was monkeypox. So
monkeypox.
AIDS adjacent.
Oh,
And
you got the showbiz bug. Okay.
oh yeah, showbiz. Yeah, showbiz.
Okay, you got the showbiz bug. Got it.
But I moved to New York and was like, I'll just make it here. I'd already been in Rolling Stone. What are the odds? This kid's got it. I got the magic sauce where they discovered me here. That'll happen again there.
Oh, you're starting to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit.
Oh, if I could go back and if I could have a podcast where I release conversations I had in a bar in 1997 in New York about who I was gonna be, where I was going.
I mean, not even coked up. Just you were
Cooked up
so
at times.
yeah,
But like
just full of it's all heading your way. Like you have to believe the hype.
Oliver Stone optioned the rights to my life. I was like, this is
Oliver Stone, unreal.
and I was like, this is real. And then 6 months in, Will Smith discovers me and signs me to a
6 months in.
I'm doing stand up 6 months.
Wow.
I'm working the door at the Boston Comedy Club. Will Smith discovers me.
Did
And-
he ever
No.
lay hands on you?
Oh, I thought you meant sex. No.
No, I meant like a slap or something. I didn't know if there was a
Did
pattern
he
there.
lay his wiener on you? No, did you?
What? We're
Well,
gonna
you
have to
just
cut-
said. I thought
I
you
said
were-
My dad
hand.
did think
Oh.
he wanted to have sex with me. At
I
one
was
point.
doing a slap
His
joke.
dad thought that
My dad thought Will wanted to have sex with me because when we met,
because
we
you're a
took
talentless
Your
hump.
dad, wait.
my dad said, Will goes,
Your dad said Will wants it.
my dad said, I go to meet Will at the movie record studio or whatever, and he's doing Millennium. And he goes, you're cool, man. We should hang out. And I was like, yeah, thinking, yeah, well, you call me, we'll hang out one day. And he goes, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, nothing. He goes, let's go to the movies. And I was like, okay. So I get in the car, I call my dad, and he goes, how did it go? I go, good, we're going to the movies. And my dad's like, on a date? I go, no, it's like He goes, what do you mean you're going to fucking movies with this guy? Like, what do you...
It's like an old school
Well,
dad.
it is unusual. You're not going to talk. You're going to look at a screen, and there's going to be popcorn shared.
not a bad first date.
Hands in the snacks.
At Planet Hollywood. He goes, at Planet Hollywood. My dad goes, they have a movie theater there? I go, I don't know.
Did he take a sip of a drink with a straw and then hand it to you?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
So my dad goes, oh, buddy, I think he wants to fuck you. I was like, what?
That's a
Dad's
first.
jumping ahead.
He goes, it's very...
This is your
it's-
daddy.
My dad. He goes,
Okay.
it's very common in Hollywood, these guys.
That's what they
No, it's a
hear.
Hollywood thing.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not even gay.
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
They get so tired of pussy that the only thing that really excites them is the look on a boy's face when they turn them.
Good God.
And so I'm like, holy shit.
When is his book coming
I
out?
go,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do? And he goes, look, you're my only son. I'm just keeping an eye out for you. I go, Dad, that's impossible. And he goes, what's more likely? The fact that you are so talented
Oh, boy.
that in 6 months of doing stand-up, the biggest
love
movie
your
star in
dad.
the world wants to do a sitcom with you, or that he's tired of pussy and he wants to fuck you. And I was like, what do I wear? And he was like, something sloppy. Don't look good.
You're like, either way, I'm going.
Well,
to the
they used to
movies.
make. Well, what did you wear?
I wore overalls with a sweater over top
Not
the
sexy,
overalls.
not sexy.
And
Yeah, I think you
A
ruined
hooter
it right
Do you
there.
have a hooter clamp, which is sort of a chastity
Excuse
belt for
me?
men?
what's funny
It's
is
called a hooter clamp.
what's a hooter clamp?
It's a chastity belt for men. I'm making this up. It was a running gag with my friends in college.
I like hooter
You're wearing
clamp.
a hooter clamp?
That
Hooter
should be our
clamp just
merch.
sounds funny. Run with it. You got a special out of it.
I go to Planet Hollywood and there's a 6'7" dude named Charlie Mack and he's like, you Bert? I go, yeah. And he goes, downstairs. I'm like, I gotta fuck this guy too.
You're on the way down.
So you're
there's
getting exhausted ahead of time.
And there's 10 black dudes in this room waiting for me.
Bert.
And I'm doing the math. I'm like, this is fucking, I'm sure he's bringing Jazzy Jeff. That's 13 dudes I'm gonna fuck tonight. He shows up with Jazzy Jeff. I swear to God.
Oh,
I
my
swear to God. We sat down and we watched
Wow.
American Pie at the
The
screening
heat
room.
is on.
And it
Nothing
was-
happened, right?
At the end, I told him I was a hip hop fan. At the end, he's like, what'd you think? I was like, it's a good movie. And he was like, no, about the room. I was like, I don't know. What do you mean? He's like, the people. I was like, they're black dudes? And he goes, no, you said you're a hip hop fan. That's Cool Mo D. That's Biz Marquee. That's Big Daddy Kane. He brought all these hip hop guys for me to meet.
To show off to you, and you don't know anything.
That's
about it.
even nicer.
And I just thought I was going to fuck. I was like, I could have fucked Biz Marquee. So, yeah.
I just texted my manager, and he's going to try to book Will on your podcast. So
I would
You
love to.
guys
By the
have-
way, that if he, I think he's.
That's
in-
a good story.
He's in comedy timeout right now. Like no one's giving
Right.
him a break. I would love to have him on my podcast.
Yeah.
and my podcast is a lot bigger than the fucking Today Show.
Yeah.
and
Well, he might do it because you do know him, and he did think you were talented when people
No,
weren't
that's a nice
clamoring
thing.
for you. Because didn't that lead to others? But by the way, when he was in college,
Bert?
they did when Oliver Stone optioned that movie,
yeah.
and then it didn't pan out, but they did do Van Wilder, and then that was pretty much based on you, correct?
Pretty
Or
much.
We don't
I mean,
know.
look,
We don't know.
I don't know because I wasn't in the production. It's weird. I had no problem saying that until I made a movie. Once you make a movie, you realize just how many people go into actually making a movie. Then it feels really cheap to be like, oh yeah, they read my article, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the rumor was that the people that wrote the script when the option fell out with Oliver Stone, they just sold it to Van Wilder or to National Lampoon, and they just changed some names
Changed the
and
name.
just made the movie. Which I mean, I had nothing to do with the movie. I didn't write it. I didn't
Yeah.
star in it. I never made any money from it. I mean, I've never even seen it.
Right, but you're saying it's eerily similar to yours.
All my friends' names are still in it. So
And it's just for a second, because you mentioned it, it's interesting that my podcast is bigger than the Today Show. That this idea of television
It's true.
and podcasting is sort of it's something's going on.
well,
I
if
mean,
Will Smith does an interview on the Today Show, I mean, I'm not shit on the Today Show. I've
no,
done the
you
Today
could
Show,
say morning
but
or
like,
television, basically.
I'll
Yeah.
say every late night talk show and every morning talk show. If he does an interview on there, it's going to be very crafted. It's going to be very sterile, and it will
Commercial breaks.
Yeah,
and all
maybe
that.
it'll get, I don't know, probably get big numbers for them. But if he did my podcast, or if he was did an episode like you did, and was a guest bear on Two Bears One Cave, multiple million people will hear him be a little more honest and a little more clear
Right.
with his words. I think it'll be a better look for him. And comedy fans are there.
And he can say whatever he wants.
Say whatever he wants, and also we'll also help him if he says something fucking foul. We'll edit it out for him because that's how podcasts
God,
are.
I'm so glad we started this podcast.
Dude,
Yeah.
your podcast is huge, and it's. I mean, I don't know if I mean, you guys are a little bit, and I mean this respectfully, but you guys are a little bit traditional media in that you guys are both movie stars, so that you have publicists, you have agents and managers, and some things that we kind of forego. Publicists for me don't really do anything because the first thing they say is, "Can you get on David Spade's podcast? Can you get on Joe Rogan's podcast?" And I go, "Well, I just call them. I don't need you to do that."
Could you tell we were a little more straight laced when you were telling the Will Smith story and we were shitting our fucking pants?
We're just thinking.
No, you're good about that. Well, you're good. I remember saying something shitty
trend.
about
We don't
Britney
trend,
Spears,
and
you pulled it out of your show, and you whispered to me, "We'll pull that out."
Oh, about Britney,
because you're like, I don't know, but I remember you saying, "Yeah, I don't like shitting on people because it doesn't." And I heard you say that. And my whole thing was talking shit on podcasts.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, I'm going to go on Rogan and I'm not going to shit on anybody. I'm going to talk positive about everyone. The next day I had like 17 DMs of like, dude, I really appreciate what you said to me. And you're like, oh, that pays off so much better.
Yeah. And Britney also has a fevered fan base that might, if they turn on you, you don't need that for just a flippant joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but we, you know, I like your pod. I did Two Bears. Heather, right? I went over there.
You did Two Bears,
but
with Tommy.
I thought you were on.
Yeah, I know.
And
that's how Tom gets guests.
And who was that other guy?
Tommy Segura. He lives in Austin.
He was nice.
He's a local Austin comic.
No, Tom was great.
Tommy Segura.
Tom flew in to do it.
Yeah, Thomas Segura.
He came in to do it, which I thought was really super cool.
Yeah.
I was bummed you weren't there, but Tom and I had a blast.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun hang, and the fans that listen to both our podcasts, Your Mom House Birdcast and Two Bears, are like comedy fans.
Yeah.
So you can take big swings at shit, and they'll forgive you if you fuck up. And
you can take really dry. You can take really weird comedy moves. Like you're going to Largo and doing a set. Like you're going to where you go. I'm going to try stuff. If you're sharp comedians or you're sharp fans, then you like these type of jokes.
But is there a little bit of a sea change even with your audience of accepting more stuff because of the period of time of you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that, or you've been the same all the way through?
You can say almost anything on
but
a podcast.
Could I do a Indian accent, Chinese accent?
Yeah, I mean, I think but
I don't
this
need
sounds
to.
crazy, but like no one's. I don't think there's woke, but I think there's like if you were doing it in a mean way, I think people would be like, "Oh, that's not." That's the weird thing is that like, I think comedy when people go, "Well, what about cancel culture?" I don't think it's changed at all. I don't think it's like swimming in the ocean. If you focus on the sharks, you're not gonna have a good time. But if you just go, hey man, it's the ocean. There are sharks in here, but I don't think I'm gonna get attacked. And if I do, fuck it.
Right.
That's how you kind.
If I do, fuck it. That's a T-shirt.
Yeah. If I gotta pull my legs up if I say something dicey.
Yeah.
But it's all your. I think comedy is your intent.
It's intent.
You know?
I
You
agree
ever see
with
someone older do comedy? Like I remember a guy. I won't say his name, but he was doing Asian accents on stage, and he was not doing them kindly. Where you look at the Asian person in the room, and you'd be like, "That is kind of fucked up."
They do. Yeah, make it like an asshole.
And so I think, I think you could get away with a lot of stuff in comedy if people know your intent's right. And I think the same goes with our fans. I've said fucked up stuff. I've definitely said fucked up stuff on Two Bears. Stuff I regret, hardcore. But I think our fans also give you that swing zone that they go, I know the guy's a good guy.
Yeah, they know you, and you guys got in early, I think, which was smart because you just build it up, and then they're actually just very hardcore fans of your stuff. Because when I went on Two Bears, then there's people that maybe haven't seen me in a while. You know what I mean? Just the cross-pollination of, you're right. There's Fallon, there's Ellen. I used to do Letterman a lot, Stern. But if you hit this, those are the same audiences all the time, and they're great.
You guys are like martinis, right? So like say I'm a beer, right? So like, but I'm good for these guys every day. But when you guys show up, everyone's like, oh fuck, I haven't had a martini in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, these are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's cool about like you guys is, look, all me and Tom's career has been made on the internet and made with these with like podcasting and comedy and specials. You guys have things that like obviously Tom and I dream about, but like you have careers that and stories and things that like the average comedy fans like, oh shit, like
right. It's kind of going away. Like the normal young person. We live next to some TikTokers here, and they make way more money than me, and they're great. But that world of being famous between the ages of 17 and 25, and they're doing different things. Those stories are more similar in that way. but there's not that many going. Like, who's a famous movie star? Timothy Chalamet, under 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who has those stories of being on a TV show or a sitcom and a TV and movies and SNL? That is going away, and it's more like I'm famous for this, which is totally acceptable now. You're on this, YouTube, all that. It's just a different world. So we're in a world sort of going away, and it's fun to mix them up, because you have great stories. You're like Theo in the way that Theo Von, where there's so many crazy fucking things that I hear that you do that, like, Theo, anything you say goes, oh yeah, you go, I'm going to order some ribs. Oh, in 5th grade, this girl had ribs in her forehead, 12 ribs. No, for real. And
then he
she was
worked the
pregnant.
word rib
And you
cage.
go, these are a million things that happen to you. And you're sort of like that, where it seems like you have an endless amount of things that actually happen to you. And that keeps it going. That's hard. It's hard to be interesting.
I feel like I've run out of all the interesting stuff I've ever done.
Well, I was watching your. I guess it's from 2 days ago, and you're trying not to drink this month, and then Tom was talking about ayahuasca and stuff. So it was very compelling. I mean, it went by very fast. You guys have a great chemistry.
I don't know if Dana knew this story, but you've probably told it, but our audience just hasn't heard probably some of it. But when I was at the Comedy Store that night that whole Molly thing happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know you well, and I don't go to the Comedy Store that much. And it was like, I remember, because I've heard that story since. I don't know if you told the whole thing, but it was just that something happened, and I was like, oh, that's so funny. I think I was there. You walked in. I just happened to be in the green room, I think with Adam Egget or someone, and then you were like, oh shit, something weird just went down.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know this story.
I had to fly to start my tour. This is probably 2019, I guess.
Yeah.
And my buddy Ari Shafir, great comic, was in town. And I was like, well, why don't we do a podcast? I go, it would be perfect. We'll have some sunset drinks in my backyard, have a cigar. I'm gonna have dinner with my family, and then I'm gonna bounce, get to the airport, and I'll be fine. He was like, great. And he, as we went into I have a man cave built by the TV show Man Caves. So in my old house. And so he said we should do a shot to celebrate for tonight. And I was like, okay. I mean, I don't need to do shots. I'm not like a huge shot guy, but I was like, all right, whatever. So we did a shot of scotch, which is an odd thing to shoot. And it tasted off. And so then we start doing a podcast, and like an hour in, my face is just kind of warm. I'm like, I feel fucking weird. And Ari is, like, obviously I love Ari, and we're still friends. But he's like, do you feel weird? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he was like, maybe you're on something. And I was like, I'm not. Trust me, I'm on blood pressure medicine. I don't take anything. And he was like, maybe you're on something. Maybe you're on Molly. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. You can't be mad. You got to promise not to be mad. And I was like, mind you, we're doing a podcast. And so I'm like, what? And he goes, I roofied you. I gave you Molly. You're on Molly right now. And I'm like, why was
wow.
I didn't release the podcast because, number one, I didn't want to become a meme, because the look on my face when I realized I'm on Molly is very, very real. Other than the fact that it's a tad bit dappled from the tree, it's pretty real, and it's not cool, and I'm not happy. And my cousin comes over, and I'm on Molly, and I called Joey Diaz. Joey Diaz, I just called him, and the podcast kind of falls apart. We're still recording everything,
right?
But I'm freaking out.
Sure.
I'm like, what? I'm like, dude, I'm on blood pressure.
It's making me nervous to feel like you're on drugs and you don't know it, and then how weird you would feel,
that would
and then
get me.
And I was like, I have high blood pressure and like, what the fuck? Did you consult my cardiologist? Like, I'm not supposed to do. What if I have a stroke? And he was like, well, you have a stroke. I don't know what to tell you.
Sounds like a really good friend.
Good. It's good TV.
That's where it's problematic, is that he is a good guy, but there's a broken part to Ari where he also finds this very entertaining. Maybe not now, but at the time.
Right, and you guys all push it with different things you do, and one goes too far, but it's more like it could be really funny.
Is that an ecstasy, or is it?
It's ecstasy.
Yeah, okay.
And so I called Joey Diaz.
Doesn't sound like the actual ecstasy of happiness.
Molly.
Oddly enough, this is the panic moment where it hits me.
I've gotten like that in drugs.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and I remember, the feeling of going, I don't want to be on this.
Yeah.
But there's no getting out of this. So it's like almost like a claustrophobia.
It's scary because you're stuck for hours.
Yeah, I go 4 hours. It's going to last 4 hours. And I have to be on a plane in 3.5.
Ugh.
And so I'm like, I call Joey Diaz. I God bless Joey Diaz. I said, Ari just slipped me Molly. And I didn't even finish my sentence. He was like, dog, I'll be there in 15. He comes over in 5 minutes. We live near each other. He's in the backyard, and he just calmed me down he took Molly also, I think, and was like, "Dog, we're all gonna be fine. If we die, we die." And I was like, that kind of made me comfortable.
Yeah.
We don't do the podcast. We don't finish the podcast. We just leave.
Yeah.
He leaves. We pull my wife into the bathroom, and my cousin's with me. My cousin was my tour manager at the time. I was like, listen, I'm going to tell you something, but I need to not take care of you right now. I need you to not lose your shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to pack for a flight. I don't want to see the girls. I've been slipped Molly by Ari, and I'm blowing up right now. Like, I'm losing my fucking mind. And, man, she fucking livid. I could see it in her eyes.
And she's trying not to, probably, because she doesn't want to flip you out.
Yeah. And she was like, where is he? And I was like,
oh, no, not where is
he's
he?
gone. He's gone. She goes, okay. She goes, don't worry about clothes. Grab your backpack. Go to the Comedy Store. Go have a drink. Go to the Comedy Store, and then go to the airport. Don't go to the airport now. And then she was like very specific about go find a bar, go relax somewhere, have fun, whatever. Let the drug try to wear off, and then get yourself to the airport. But don't show up at the airport on drugs. Show up to the airport as close to the getting out of your system as possible.
Oof.
So I got my cousin and I went straight to the.
So I did see you. I was thinking, maybe
went
I'm
to the
thinking
Comedy
online.
Store, and I walked into the back. It was the back bar.
Yeah.
And you were there with Whitney Cummings.
Okay.
And Adam, and they're like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, not good. And you're like, what's going on? And I was like, I just got slipped Molly. And then literally Ari walked in, and he goes, it's feeling good, huh? And by the way, it was feeling amazing. It was like I was.
Oh yeah.
It was.
I was going to ask, what are you feeling?
It felt just euphoric. Like you wanted to touch people. You wanted to be touched. I felt euphoric.
So you're not really mad. You're stuck in it now. Now you're.
I
now
realized.
you're feeling okay.
This is the moment I realized how strong it was. As I packed my backpack, I realized I had left my iPad on my last flight. And instead of being angry, I thought, I bet that person needed an iPad. And I was like, that's a weird fucking thought.
Yeah.
I was like, I just gifted someone an iPad. Yeah,
Well,
let's go to the store. So I just kept drinking. I got on a plane. I was not wearing off. It lasted way longer than I wanted to.
And you had to get on this plane, obviously. Or you say I would.
I had to,
bailed
yeah.
out, yeah.
This is, and so I got on the plane.
How's your your auto? I mean, how are you walking and how are you?
Walking fine. You're very dialed in.
Okay.
You're very dialed in.
You're not stumbling.
You're like.
Supposed to be fun.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot of fun. I mean, Molly delivers. Like, there's a few drugs that go, hey, man, I promise you I'll be what you want me to be.
Well, as you
That's
know,
why they sell it at
psychedelics have
Coachella.
become a big part of kind of mental health and people who are toward the end of their life, and it's this reset. So we'll get to that later if it had lasting effects. But what happened next?
I get on the plane, very chatty, very talkative, guy next
almost
to me.
feminine.
I remember I was rubbing the dude's hand next to me, like I was like just had my hand on his hand, and he was like. And I was like, hey, listen, I got to tell you a secret. I got slipped Molly this afternoon.
Hey, total stranger.
I'm going to use that next time I'm at the airport. I got slipped to Molly. Can I get my
the guy
seat?
was a fan. The guy was a fan. He knew who I was.
okay.
And so I told him, and I said, you're going to hear about this on a podcast. I'm sure we're doing Rogan next week. I'm sure that'll come up. But just know you were sitting next to me when this happened. And
I'll
he
be
was
dry humping your leg
like,
for the
Shut
next.
the fuck up. And then it's that great line from Stripes. Is it Stripes? And then depression sank in, and I woke up the next day totally depleted of dopamine, totally panic riddled, totally like depressed. What the fuck just happened? Did I fuck up my career because I wasn't cool about it? Is this like, and Whitney Cummings called me immediately, and I was like, what do I do with this podcast? Whitney Cummings like, you do not release this podcast. That is, you control your dialogue with your fans, and you do not need them to mock you because you weren't like the cool guy getting slipped Molly, like, that's what's up. And so she goes, you don't want to become Crying Jordan. And so
Crying Jordan.
Whitney is the first person I talked to. I talked to her a bunch that week. I got a few IVs. I got an IV, and the Molly kicked back in.
Really?
Yeah. And all of a sudden, I was like,
really?
That's great.
And I was about to go on stage. I had to do two shows, and I was like, "Oh, what's up, St. Louis?"
So Molly was
and
just
you're still a little bit flying. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so whatever was in the IV, it just booted it back, and I was shaky. And I got on stage. I had to do two shows, and then Ari and I didn't. And then we did Rogan, and it's interesting because everyone's take, like Tom and Joe's take, personally was very honest, and like that was really fucked up, man. Like that's like dude, we love you, like this and that. And then we did the podcast, you know, Tom and Joe are like, dude, how cool, you know, whatever.
Clowning on you.
They're making fun of me because I didn't love it. But I think they also came out, I don't know, look, whatever. You say what you say on a podcast to get laughs.
Yeah.
And so Ari and I didn't talk for like a whole month. We had to do Sober October then. That was the last Sober October I did until this one because it destroyed Sober October. Like no one chatted on the chat thread. No one kept in touch with each other. No one spoke. It really kind of drove a division between all of us. And then at the end of the month, Ari was like, called me. I was in Connecticut, and he was like, I really fucked up, didn't I? And he had called a number of times. I wouldn't answer his call. I was like, yeah, you did. I was like, you know my thing. You know, like we all got our mantra that fucks with our heads for whatever thing. And mine is, you think I'm weak because I'm a nice guy. You think you can step all over me.
Yeah.
And so, guilty.
Yeah.
Me too.
And never. Yeah, but a nice guy is usually a nice guy until he's not a nice guy. So you don't ever want to see the other guy.
Bad, yeah.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, you know, that's how I feel. You know that's the thing that fucks with me. I've talked to him so ad nauseum about how I feel about X person stealing a joke or taking advantage of me.
Yeah.
I go, and you did the thing that makes me, you did it publicly. And he was like, oh, I don't think I saw it that way. And so I fucked up. And my wife my daughters hate him. My daughters hate him. We'll never, like I was texting with him one time. I just texted me and I texted back. My daughter, Georgia, saw it. She grabbed my phone. She goes, no.
It's like a bad breakup. He's like, you're not still talking to him.
She goes, Dad, imagine how you would feel if you saw me replying to a dude who had drugged me. And I went, whoa.
That's a pretty mature young woman. How old was she?
She's, I don't
at the time?
16, 15.
Is this guy going around? I don't know him, but is he still slipping mollies to people?
Okay, yes,
he travels around and goes to different states.
He's
a good guy. It's crazy that I say that and people like he's gotten in a lot of trouble for being who he is, but who he is this really. I mean, you know him. Yeah. He's not a bad guy.
No, I'm saying that
it's always a bad sign when you have to say that.
You're someone trying to do a bit or do a joke. It went too far, and he probably learned holy shit.
We went to a bachelor party. We went to Mark Norman's bachelor party together. I'm still friends with him. I'm very good friends with him. And we went to the bachelor party, and he pulled me aside before the bachelor party started, and he goes, I just need you to know. I would never slip anything in your drink again. I need you to know that you can be comfortable around me. And I was like, I got you, buddy. I was like, please don't slip something in my drink. Because that's part of me goes, well, that's the funniest joke. If he does it again, and he was like, is it still not cool?
Bert, do you think a little bit of his rationale was like, Bert's going to have a good time on this. He's going to have a great story with this. This is going to be a cool experience for him. Maybe.
I think, you know, people see me drinking on a plane and then they go, God, this guy parties. And they don't realize that drinking on a plane is attached to something a little different. And so I think people think.
Yeah, you're not partying. You're just trying to survive the flight and not have a heart attack.
And I think people assume a lot about me not knowing me. They think I'm drunk every time I'm on stage. I never drink on stage. I never drink on stage. I mean, I have, obviously, but like if I do a show, I'm sober.
Well, I just look at your Wikipedia. I look at the 3 specials in 5 years. I look at, you did a tour last year, like a stadium tour. I mean, the workload is so extreme that it would crowd out drinking time.
I still drink pretty aggressively.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, how many a day?
I created a drive-in comedy tour through UTA. We set up a whole drive-in tour during the pandemic, and then I did a baseball stadium tour called Fully Loaded.
Was that with Nikki Glaser on that?
Nikki Glaser, Big J Okerson, Shane Gillis, Mark Norman.
So you're saying like 60,000?
We did.
That's a big one.
40,000.
I think most venues were about 10,000, and so we did some arenas. We did minor league baseball stadiums.
Oh, okay.
And then I have my tour, and then depending on when this comes out, I've a bunch of things to announce. And so, I'm a workaholic in the sense that I just see if you're awake, you should be working.
Right.
You know, I just always want to do stuff. I like making stuff.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question because I like specifics. So, because we always talk about heavy drinking, whatever. Yeah. So, say it's beyond.
I love specifics.
You're like a normal day. You're functional. You're doing your thing, but it's kind of a day off, or maybe you're going to do a open mic, the workout material. Just take me through that day of your consumption, where you're still Bert, you're functional, but what can you put? Well, how much can you do and still be functional in a day?
So there's
space them out.
There's 2 different Berts. If there's Bert on the road,
right?
I never drink today, if I came here and you were like, and you had drinks lined up and it wasn't Sober October, I would I would 100% drink with you in a second.
Damn.
And I would drink for.
We got to have you back on.
I'd drink hard and I would have fun and I'd be like, I'd hope we do like 3 hours. I'd be like into it. And then I'd go and do my day. And but I wouldn't have driven here. I would take an Uber here. I'm pretty responsible about that.
Yeah.
But usually if I'm in LA, I won't drink.
Usually with the family and everything.
Yeah, I won't drink at all until like, if I'm not doing sets, I'll open a bottle of wine around like sunset with my wife. Or like if I'm at the store, I won't drink until my OR set. Like I'll do.
So you're very controlled.
Yeah.
I would think if someone said you were drunk on stage, I would guess that's possible because the thing about growing up and when you got famous from all these stories and these shows you did, and it was like sort of a jackass show you did. Hurt Bert. And that it's like those guys where you obviously are bringing stand-up to it and you've spun it into a whole thing, but in a very successful career. But just that past people, when I see it around other people that party, they want to party with you or they want to buy you drinks or they want to, and it gets to be kind of a hassle on stage. They'll be sent drinks. I'm getting sent drinks on stage or when I'm out or when I'm dinner. And that gets to be hard because that if it turns into your rap, you're like, well, it's not my one move. It's like there's more going on here.
It's definitely when I was doing clubs when I was younger, I had no problem drinking on stage. If they sent shots, I'd do them.
Yeah.
But I also can handle my booze well enough that I never got fucked up on stage. I just do a shot, have a beer with me, and be like, yeah, that's fine. But when I really started focusing on specials, like when I did the machine, that's when I realized it's not just I have an hour.
Yeah.
It's like I have an hour that I'm going to craft into a good hour that has peaks and valleys and arcs and there's saplings I plant at the beginning that I can harvest later, and like it's a real art form. And I wasn't until I did the machine that I was like, I can't drink on stage. I'm working on something, and then from that point on, and then I started doing theaters. And once you do theaters,
it's a whole different ballgame.
It's like
and it's scary. I'm on the theater tour now, and Dana obviously is a very well-known comedian, does these big gigs. And when I do these theaters,
he's selling out
in the last year because I just always do clubs, and I would do a movie, and I go, is the Irvine Improv? Can they give me a couple days early in the week without a lot of notice? And you go do it, and it's fun. And you could have a drink, or you could goof around on stage and get fucked up, and it's like a fun party atmosphere. It's 300 or 400 people. But when you do bigger theaters, it's like work. It's like a job, and people don't know. It's so hard to focus and get a tight hour that is kind of airtight because you have a pause. You drift off. People yell, or they're paying a lot more. They're very attentive. It's a bigger deal, and then you owe them more. Of course, you want to be good. It doesn't mean you're always going to kill, but you got to go in if you have any work ethic going.
And the club is all drinking. They all have drinks.
The club is about selling booze.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, I remember Tell told me when I was very young, he goes, you can't promise that, we were talking about a certain club. He goes, you can't promise that guy's going to, first of all, he's not going to watch your set. Second of all, his sense of humor is horrible. And he goes, how many drinks did you sell? And I was like, I don't know. And he goes, well, I can promise you he checked at the end of the week.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll book you back because they go he sells drinks.
That's how I got. How I started touring. What I would do is I would bring beers on stage. I'd drink one, maybe two, do some shots if I needed to. But after the show, I tell everyone on my late show, stick around. I'm going to be at the bar drinking. Don't leave. Let's hang out. And I remember
smart.
Tony Baldino was like, "Hey man, you just made me $13,000."
Yeah.
Like, what? He was like, I'll bring you back definitely if you keep doing this. So I would set up bar games. Yeah,
that's a good
and
trick.
be like, we're going to gamble after this. Everyone out there, it's a $20 buy-in, $5 rebuys. We're going to see if we can throw a ball from across the bar into a hoop. First one gets the pot. And so dudes would be like, fuck, we'll stay. And then
and they order drink just while they're waiting and watching.
And so we
instead
do that.
of going somewhere else to go have another drink, they go, let's just stay here and watch what's going on.
Yeah. And so I used to do that a lot. And then I started doing these call and sick to work shows where I'd tell them.
I love it.
I'd tell the club because I was like, hey, open up at 10 a.m. It's like it's St. Patty's Day. Open up at 10 a.m. I'll go do radio, and as soon as radio is over, I'm coming over to the club. We'll tell everyone to call in sick to work, and we'll just do a show at like 11:30. And those would sell out in minutes. I mean, I'd call in ahead of time and be like, to Tampa or Philly and
Do you
be like,
tell the radio station? Is that how you do it?
I
You
call
say it on the
there's
air?
all my friends like Preston and Steve in Philly or Elliot in the morning or Cowhead. I'd be like, yo, I'd call in 2 weeks ahead of time and be like, Monday on the 16th, I'm doing a call and sick to work show, and immediately they would sell out. And then I would hold true and do radio. I'd drink on radio.
Yeah.
And like party on radio, and then me and the radio station, we'd hold like 20 tickets for a boss who wanted to just. It was really fun. Boss would be like, "Hey, I'm shutting down shop. You got tickets for me?" And we'd be like, "Yeah." So they'd all come in. It was fucking awesome. You could only make $5,000. That was the nut. And so it wasn't like
it just seems like you have a really good business acumen.
That's good, though.
You just know that's kind of brilliant. The fuck off day.
Oh, it's
set,
I was such a mediocre talent for the majority of my career that I didn't mind taking chances because I was already failing anyway. So like I didn't mind. So when we did the drive-in movie theaters, I got awards for that. But it was like my special came out March 17th. Stay-at-home order started on the 13th. I was like, well, it's not that bad for business for me. Like, because everyone was home to watch my special.
So the special blew up.
And I was like, I'm going to support this special.
But the hard part is they all like it. I had Wrong Missy come out and then you go, I loved it. I couldn't even celebrate when we were number one in the world. I go, I'm celebrating at my house eating Cheez-Its because I can't leave. I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
but hold on, because I had the same feeling.
Yeah.
Because Wrong Missy came out right, I think after my special.
Yeah. It was May.
And I remember my special came out, and I remember seeing there's like that heart button on Instagram, and it's like all the people that mention you in the story, and it was just one line. You couldn't even see the marks, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's blowing up. So I called my agent, and I was like, hey man, I got a tour. And he's like, there's no touring. And I was like, what about drive-in movie theaters? He goes, it's not a thing. I said, no, there are out there. I've Googled them. They're out there.
That's what you did because you had to capitalize on that.
I said, I got a tour. I got people that are watching my special. I've got to lock these fans in to let them know I'm a good comic and that they got to come see me live. So we found an EDM promoter, Hotbox, and we brought them in, and they said, we've done shows. We've done like EDM shows during the pandemic. We could do comedy and just put you on a stage in front of the big screen. They come out in their cars, and it was fucking epic. I mean, they'd come out 4 hours early and be grilling out, tailgating.
Oh, yeah.
It was the coolest thing, probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my career, like at that time, because it was like during the pandemic. But I remember watching Wrong Missy during the pandemic. It's like when you get good entertainment during the pandemic, that's God. Like a
just
treat.
a funny movie.
A treat.
Really just funny. A hard
Lauren Lapkus, I'm a fan of her. I follow her on Instagram.
Oh, she's
I've never talked to her, never met her, but she fucking killed me in that fucking movie.
And it just seemingly out of nowhere. People knew me, and I was sort of the straight man again. And when I read it, actually Sandler said to me, he goes, I think you'll like this one. And I go, I like that Ben Stiller part, like Jason Bateman, where you're just, the shit's going on around you, and you get to react. And Lauren Lapkus, it's like the girl has to be good. And so it winds up being Lauren.
Great.
And she was known around here,
awesome.
But when she goes in there and just hits you from out of the blue and everything she's saying, and she's so dirty and hilarious and clever. And we were about halfway done filming, and I'm like, you're filming out of sequence, but I go, I think it's pretty funny. Maybe I'm crazy, but we still have this scene, the threesome scene, and the cliff. I go, I think this could be good. And you have no idea, obviously. And then when it comes on and it starts doing well, that was the hugest. And it was too huge, and we were stuck.
Oh, I loved it. That's when you'd want it. I mean, you got to realize.
Well, that's why it's doing so well.
Yeah. And then, that's why it did so well, because
but
it was
you
word of
can't
mouth.
go shoot another movie because you're not allowed to shoot a movie.
Well, I had a TV series of The Cabin that came out
during
the pandemic.
So
and it was the highest rated non-scripted series on Netflix.
Cabin-related show.
And cabin-related show.
It sounds fun. It was you going.
And everyone, Netflix called, they're like, congratulations on having a hit. I remember someone's like, we should just celebrate our success right now. And I was like, yeah. And then they didn't, they're like, well, we'd love to do more, but we're in pandemic.
Can't do anything.
Can't do anything. And for
then 2
it
loses
years,
some heat.
Is it going to come back then?
No, I'd love for it to. I would, at the time that we did it, I was so nobody that I couldn't get anyone famous on the show. So it was just comics. It was just all my friends, Whitney, Bobby, Donnell, Tommy, Joey. I just got comics on, and it was like, obviously it's guys who are good at podcasting. So we didn't have any script. We just improv'd everything.
And they're funny. So there's something funny's going to happen.
I think we had We had a soft commit from you, Sandler, and Norm. Because Adam Egget was working on it with us, and he was like, I might be able to get, and I think, and he was like, what would you do with them? And I was like, oh, you're being fucking serious. I was like, well, the problem is I would have just sat with you guys and be like, can you guys walk me through all my favorite scenes? So it would have been nothing but.
By the way, Spade, go fight that bear. We got 2 cameras on you. I remember doing parking lot shows. I did probably 5 parking lot shows. Hey, where are my Land Cruisers at? I was good. I'm like, this Geo Prism knows what I'm talking about. Meep, meep. Remember at the Magic Castle, they were making noise. Did you ever do that one?
No, I never did those.
They had like fans that made noise, and they go out the windows because they weren't allowed to get out of their cars there. So instead of flicking their lights, they did for a while. Then it was just, but there was a little noise. So you go, that one killed.
Yeah,
because you could get some sense, but.
I let them. We only did states where they could get out of their cars, like red states.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
So we did the middle of the country. So they would. I mean, they get out of their cars. They set up couches.
Yeah, it's like a football game.
It was like a football game. We did one. We did like 3,000 cars in Philly, and and they weren't allowed out of their cars, and it was tough.
I did states where they weren't allowed to laugh. And it really sort of defeated.
Oh shit! I did Mississippi.
I have another question. I know it's getting late, but
no, I'm fine.
I have a question. You're used to doing 12-hour podcasts.
Yeah, I could talk to you guys.
When you do,
forever.
I'm enjoying this.
You do this because Dana did a special on Netflix, and mine was out about not that long ago.
2016.
I was curious about your choice of shoes. Asics.
Fuck off. And my
Asics.
Special?
Yeah.
Oh, because
you wore Asics.
I got a bad neck, so I really am whittled down into what. It's not what kind of shoes, it's what type of Skechers I'll be wearing.
Well, no, can I tell you, it made
You like Asics?
No, I love Asics. That's all I run in. But it was so interesting because I'm so hyper aware, despite the fact that I wear nothing on stage, I'm so hyper aware about jeans and shoes that I always look at what shoes people wear.
Yeah, because I got a bad neck, and they're kind of comfy for me, and I try to look decent, but
you look great. They're good Asics. Asics are sharp shoes.
It's 2 hours, you know. So and I'm doing probably an hour 15 each show. We're gonna trim it to about an hour. So I know it's a long night. I don't want to feel shitty.
It's a great special.
It's my best. You want to feel your best. But my problem was, which I was gonna ask you first, is when you do yours. It comes out March. You said, and there's a pandemic, and when you went back out for your tour, you're just talking about Do you change your hour? Is it half the same, or is it all new, or what is your theory on that?
So I give myself. I should say I write really quick, in that any one of my bits are like 9 minutes long.
Yeah, so that's kind of good.
If I have a bit, I can have 2 new bits and have half a new hour. So what I do is, I'm filming my special November 16th and 17th, or 17th and 18th in Omaha. I'm not the kind of guy that goes like Tom or Joe, they go, I'm taking 2 months off. I'm done. I'm not that guy. I go, get me on the road the next fucking week, because I can use this hour that I currently have to fuck around and come up with my new hour.
Yeah.
Because no one's seen, I can still do some markets that no one's seen it.
Yeah.
So I can go, I've booked out.
Until the day it airs, you're like, I got a time.
The day
here.
it airs,
milk it
dead.
out.
It's dead.
That's a hard part, because I keep some, but I whittled out. I probably the next day took out half, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was too hard because it came out 2 months later. It wasn't like,
we're
going to sit on it for a while. I go, it's got to come out sooner. Some of the jokes, they get stale. You know, you just want them out. Comedy doesn't sit well on the shelf. So I'm whittling. It's almost all gone now. There's a couple. But no one said anything. It's kind of an unwritten rule. And some people it bothers and some people it doesn't. Like some people when I see Sebastian, I'm like with my friends going, well, I hope he does an Uber joke.
Yeah.
Hope he does a thing about the wedding. And or the homeless, whatever. And then if they don't, you're kind of disappointed too.
Well, I saw Sebastian at the Forum. He was kind enough to give me and all my friends tickets.
Yeah, he's a nice dude.
And it's crazy because I personally want to see what he's working on, but I'm there with my friends and my wife, and I don't want my wife to not respect how great Sebastian is. Yeah. So part of me is like, I hope he does the fucking coffee bit or the company bit. And he does. And Sebastian's really smart about it. But I think when you're look, I don't know that there's no answer, because I was told to retire the machine story, and I've now been telling that on stage like 7 years since it went viral.
Yeah.
And so and when I start it, the pop is so big that there's not anyone really in comedy that, if as a comic, that would sit off stage and not go, yeah, they're tired of hearing it. I mean, it's when I say I was 22 years old, I got involved with the Russian Mafia. I did it in Pittsburgh the other day. In Pittsburgh, I did PPG Paints Arena. 12,000 people.
12,000 people.
Yeah, and I started the Machine Story, and they gave me a standing ovation. And so I'm like, well, I don't think I'm ready to retire.
Well, it's like a hit song. It's like Don't Stop Believing by Journey. I do the ones that I really like, that I think have some staying power, and some I hate to give up, because you know how hard it is. It's so valuable to have a bit that works. Like
the murders.
And if you get one tight and you've done it and you've got all the, and you got to take it out, but you can't really.
I just say to the audience, if I missed anything, what do you want? You know,
well,
and they start yelling out stuff.
Well, that's also, I would love to be in that. I think I would love to do a tour. I was thinking about doing a tour where I put all my put my cities on sale, and then put all my old bits for like 30 minutes worth of old bits, and then go, because Wilco did that.
Like audience vote?
Yeah, and go pick what songs you want to hear. Wilco did that, and it was fucking cool as shit. 'Cause I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind. Now that I know the set list for Minneapolis, I'll fly to Minneapolis to hear that set. And so because I have this flying dildo story that I have.
Me too.
I have fighting a bear. I have like all these huge stories that were just a staple of my act. And then I have other ones like of my daughters that people go, tell the period party story. And I don't, because I'm working on the new hour. I have no problem playing to the audience. If they would love to hear stories, if I could go do an arena tour, like I'm doing an arena tour this 2023, but it's going to be all new material, because I have to get ready for another fucking special.
Yeah, it's hard.
So,
is this your first time just pure arenas?
I'm doing half arenas, half theaters right now.
But you're at peak Bert, right? You're as hot as you've ever been, or selling more
Tim
tickets.
Dillon
Peak
right now.
Bert.
Yeah. Tim Dillon. Let
me tell you something.
I woke up and told him. I was telling him I wake up sometimes with anxiety, and he goes, "Why?
Why?
It doesn't get better than right now for you. No one told you have to stop drinking yet. You get to party. Your kids are still young. You're making more money than you've ever made. In a couple years, it's gonna get really bad. But right now, it's peak Bert."
He said peak Bert.
And so I was like, yeah, what the fuck am I stressed about? So Europe, Australia, and then just arenas.
This will come out right after that tour.
Where's your podcast? How in foreign countries? Where does it really land?
Oh yeah, do you know foreign?
Canada. You can go to Australia and you'll sell out 12,000 there too.
Yeah, for real?
All from podcast.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I sold on tickets in
Australia.
Australia.
It's the funniest guy I've ever seen.
This bloke right here.
Give him a point.
It's like a king's punch when he gets on stage.
The King's Punch tour.
So Australia, Canada was the first place I was like,
what's that about?
I was like, what the fuck, man? What's happening? Like, I'm huge in Canada. Like, I'd go to Edmonton and sell out like 9 shows, 10 shows, and then sell 2 bags of merch. And I was like, what the fuck? Canada was really big in podcasting. So was Ohio. This is where,
Canada and Ohio.
Yeah. Those were the places you could sell tickets in. Ohio, Canada, Portland. All of a sudden, these places started popping up, and then someone was like, my agent was like, do you want to do Australia? I was like, I'd love to. Put tickets on sale in Australia, sold out immediately. And I was like, what? Did Australia, and they were like, I didn't change one bit of my act at all. And they were like, you get done, they're like, tell Joey Diaz to come down here. Tell Tommy to come down here.
Really?
And you're like, oh, they're podcast fans. Then I remember going to England and with my family, and I did one small show in like a comedy club, 150 seater, put it on sale, and it sold out in like 5 minutes. And I went, that's fucking bizarre. And then I did a European tour, and that sold out. So like Europe is really big, like the Oslo, Sweden, Switzerland, like all that. Scandinavia is huge. Germany's huge. Portugal, Greece.
Yeah.
All of England, Ireland's the fucking shit.
I can do
Ireland.
I can do parts of Bulgaria.
It's not half bad, man.
Ireland is
really
the best stand-up comedy town ever.
Dublin.
Fucking ever.
Yeah,
They are
Dana's Irish.
in it.
And
They
I have
are
Irish relatives.
They are. That is like I
They
forget.
appreciate it so much.
They
Plus,
get
you
it.
come
They
over
get
there,
it.
and if they like you, but the podcasting is good to listen to because they might not get something. They might not hear, but it's probably pretty easy to dial into a podcast.
Oh,
Well, I think
And
by
you've
the
been
time
doing
they
it
hear your
forever.
podcast, they know you. By the time they see you in
They
Dublin,
know every
they're
fucking aspect
they're
of
in.
you.
They know everything. I mean, they know my daughter went to college, and like kids knock on her door. And by the way, if you're a kid listening to this, please don't. But they knock on the door every night, and they're like, "Hey, I want to party with you." My daughter's like, "What the fuck?"
I'm not a blubbering idiot. That's my dad.
But it's you feel like intimately, like my wife gets recognized like crazy because I talk about her so much in my stand up and on my podcast, and she has a podcast, and it really is podcasting is so intimate.
Yeah.
And I say this because I
you
was
say
a podcast
so many things
fan.
about yourself.
But I was a fan of podcasting first. So like I remember hearing podcasting going like, holy shit, this is like, it was magic. It was
It's
magic.
like listening to just two people talk in another room. They're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
two people you like, and you're going, I'm just sort of
There's
standing in
no
the room.
pre-interview. There's no plan.
no bullshit,
Obviously,
yeah.
it's
And
like
people fuck up and they say weird things, and all of a sudden I remember hearing
People fuck up.
I remember
So
hearing
true.
Zach Galifianakis made me laugh. I'm
yeah.
big, so I'm always in hotels
great.
or in a tour bus bunk. I listen to podcasts when I sleep. So I'll throw on a podcast, and then I feel like my friends are in the next room, and then I go. It makes me feel like not alone. I don't know, whatever. So I remember listening to Zach Galifianakis on Nerdist. This is I don't know how many years ago this was.
Nerdist.
And he said, they said, he was like, do you do drugs still? And he goes, yeah, I just did mushrooms and went to the Getty with my cousin. And he goes, you know how like you'll misread things? And he goes, it said, please don't touch the statues. But I thought it said, please touch the statues. And he was like, and I was like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, mushrooms. He's like, yeah, these are it'd be good to stroke them. He's like, oh, around stroking. I remember waking up laughing hysterically going,
Yeah.
it's just Zach's delivery, the way he says
Yeah,
things.
he's
Yeah.
great.
But yeah, I'm a huge podcast fan, so I kind of like I get excited. Like when you guys started your podcast, I got really excited because I was like, oh fuck yeah. This is what I'm looking for, something else to like. I listen to health podcasts, history podcasts, comedy podcasts I love. Tim Dillon's the best
Yeah, he
podcast
is
person on the planet right
He's
now.
brilliant.
Without a
Yeah.
doubt, he is so money.
I agree. He's got so much. He's just got something. Great voice, funny attitude. Just
Best
takes
person
on
to
a lot of
gossip with.
things. Yeah,
yeah, he gets to the essence, and then he just grinds it, and brilliant at just riffing.
My
Yeah.
favorite out of all, like, and this is what was really cool with when podcasting started. Like, my favorite thing in the world is to like tell you a great Norm Macdonald story that maybe you weren't there for, but because you know him, it's even that better, for that richer for you.
It's fun. Yeah.
Like it's like I remember Norm and Joe hanging out and just watching this interact. It's one of the funniest things ever. I would never say it on air because I don't know how it would be perceived. And Norm's passed, and but the gossip of stand up, the inside stories of stand up, and that's what podcasting was when we started. Was like just gossip, and it was so fucking good. I mean, you would get the juice. Like, did I ever tell you the story about the ... And I remember being on the edge of my seat listening to podcasts going, no. Like, people would go on Rogan and just, no one thought we were listening. Like, they would just talk.
Right. That was the interesting,
Yeah.
because you get in there. When I used to do Stern, it was sort of like that, where you're in a room like this, and you're also trying to impress him a little bit, and he's
Yeah.
digging, and he's pushes in there, and then you walk out of there, and my phone starts buzzing, going, "What the fuck did you just say?" And I'm like, "What?" And then people are like, "Hey, you didn't tell that story about me, did you?" I go, "I don't know." And then, but you do it, and it has tentacles. It gets to people, and they go, "Oh, you got to hear when he goes on here," or because Stern was like my sort of podcast, because I got to go on there once a year and then tell stuff, and then podcasting got bigger. But I thought you, Joe, Theo, like there's a lot of guys got into it early, and it really paid off.
I mean, I don't know. I always liked, like, I loved Stern. I know I loved Opie and Anthony also.
Yeah.
I loved when someone would walk in the room and you didn't know who it was. And you'd be like, oh, well, look who just walked in. And I'd be sitting in my car like, what? Like the
That
greatest,
is fun.
Yeah, but I loved that. And so I like with the beginning of this podcast, it just starts with us sitting down and talking.
Yeah.
I love that shit. on a podcast. I'm like, Joe used to have a phone in his place that would ring out of nowhere, and he'd be doing a podcast when he did it out of his house, and his phone would ring, and he'd go, I don't even fucking know. That number's dead. I don't know who it is anyway. I used to get a kick out of that. And I remember going to his house. I was like, yeah, what is that phone number? Because I was like, I'll start calling when I know he's doing podcasts.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, I don't know. It was fun, but then at the same time, look, there's, you look at like people, they comb through all the shit they've ever said on a podcast, and I look at it and I go, I did a podcast with Joe one time. There's like 5.5 hours, and I got home and they had to take it down, and I was like,
oh wow,
I was like, what did I say? And he was like, don't worry, it's taken out, we're good. And I was like,
what could it be?
And then you're laying in bed. I was like, did I say that COVID was created by the government? Like, and you're like, because you just talk shit,
5.5
not realizing
hours.
Because you're like at dinner, you're just laughing,
yeah,
and talking
it's
shit,
the funnest,
trying to crack each other up.
but then you get like, do you remember my interview with that I did with Sandler?
I saw some of it.
It was
during the pandemic, right?
Fucking bad, yes.
No.
But
And you got a tape measure with your wife.
But that's
yes.
I don't remember this.
That's
why was
the
it
thing.
bad? I mean,
okay, so this is the thing that I think is the thing about podcasting, right? So like, so they're doing Comedy Gives Back, and they're like, hey, and can you do interviews? We're gonna do interviews, and it was like maybe 3 days of whatever these things, Zooms.
Yeah. I was on
So
Zoom.
Whitney hits me up. She's like, hey, I've got to interview Sandler, and I know you're a fan of his. Did you want to be here for that interview? And I was like, fuck yes. Now, everyone's supposed to be socially distant. All these, there's so many rules. Everyone's being stickers about it. So she's like, I'll have a tape measure. We'll stay 6 feet apart, and it'll be fun. And I fucked that interview up so bad. Like, I didn't realize I fucked it up, which is what made it beautiful to other comics.
Yeah.
Because I got out of the interview. I got in my car.
Thinking you scored.
I hit a home run. First person that called was Mike Gibbons. And he goes, fucking Sandler, dude. Epic. And I was like, thank you. And he goes, dude, I am crying. We're sitting around crying, laughing, watching it. And I go, well, I didn't think it was that funny. I thought it was just informative. But he goes, funny? You asked the guy if he had Netflix. And I was like, yeah, he didn't answer. Do you think he does? He goes, Bert, he's got a $230 million deal at Netflix. He definitely has fucking Netflix. He goes, you didn't even let him talk. And then my phone rings on the other side, and it's Big J Okerson. And he goes, I go, hang on, Mike. And Big J's like, dude, fucking Sandler, that was out of, just so you know, we're about to trash you for the next 20 minutes on this Zoom. And I was like, wait, was it bad? He goes, you called his movie Precious Gems. I go, is that not the name of it? And he goes, you said his other movie was Happy Madison. And I go, is it not Happy Madison? He goes, it's the name of his production company. They're like, dude, you didn't let the guy speak. You have the biggest movie star in comedy on TV, and you told him stories about times you almost met him. And so, but like, if you can have a sense of humor about yourself, that's what podcasting is. Like, if I did that on Today's Show, people would be like, he'd be like, he ruined a great interview.
Listen, first of all, Sandler wouldn't care. And second of all.
Well, you texted. So I was terrified.
Oh, is that what happened?
You voice texted me, and you're like, the Sandler interview, huh? And you're like, don't worry. I think you said something to the effect of, don't worry, he watched your special. He liked it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
because
then
trying to be
Norm
the middleman, because I didn't want you to freak out like something wrong happened.
Then Norm hit me up.
Hey, and Sandler, that was good what you did with
Chicago
Adam there.
Blackhawks game and what's the under.
Norm would always say, he'd always say the opposite. Yeah, it was a real good interview, right? I liked it,
He goes, that was funny because it wasn't funny. Yeah. I liked it because it was bad.
Hey, you're like when Farley interviewed Paul McCartney.
Well, you had a lot of energy, and you were coming right up into the frame, and Adam was sort of on his heels. Like,
now
he was very relaxed at a desk or something.
Bad.
So he was just sort of relaxed, and so it was a funny mismatch because you were just so excited, and you came forward into the, so your head was gigantic, and Adam was,
He was just back on his heels the whole time.
Whatever happened with COVID. Anyway, let's let Bert go because he's fucking great. I could talk to this guy all day.
I could talk. I gotta have you guys. I gotta have you guys on my podcast, but more importantly, I want to have you guys on my cooking show too.
You have a cooking show?
I do a cooking show called Something's Burning, and
that's right. Yeah, I saw your website.
I do it.
Do you have 3 podcasts, or am I crazy?
I technically have 3.
2 Bears.
I have 4 technically. I do 2 Bears, Bertcasts, Open Tabs, which I'd love to do with guests. So what I do is I leave all my tabs on Safari browser open throughout the weekend
Okay.
as I Google stuff and just whatever I Google, like King Leopold. And then whatever I learn from it, I go through the tabs on the podcast and close them.
That's a separate one.
That's a separate one. And then I have got Something's Burning.
You have someone with Bill Burr? No.
No, we don't have that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
Something's Burning is a cooking show.
Is my cooking show. And so I bring 2 people. We do it right now. We do it out of my current house, but we just bought a house to build a kitchen to do it out of
rich
because
motherfucker.
Oh, shut up.
I had your money. I'd throw mine away.
Do you use Zillow houses when you go to them?
Do I do what?
Zillow houses?
Yeah. I Zillow when I don't need a house. I just Zillow. It's fun. I just look around.
I Zillow everything. But no, we bought a house down the street because my kitchen isn't perfect. So we just got a house that had a kitchen we could tear down and build a new kitchen and put my podcast studio in, put my wife's podcast studio in, and do production offices out of so that we could just, because it's like the cooking show took off. I put Bobby Lee and Mark Norman in on it, got like 1.7 million views in like 2 weeks. And then Jim Jeffries, I put him on. And I didn't put him on. He was a guest on my show.
No one likes lesbians. Is that guy? Yeah.
No, he was telling me about mutton. No one likes mutton. Mutton's the old grown up. You want the lamb. You want the lamb shank the babies. It's like women. The
Jim Jeffrey, he's with Alex too.
He's Australian.
He's with our guys. He's funny as shit. Bobby
funny.
Lee always cracks me up.
This week we have Steve-O and Andy Letterman. Then we have the banger. The banger. And this will be the one that legit, like, I don't think you'll ever, like, I don't, unless you're interviewing, sometimes you don't seek out their podcast. There is, without a doubt, you guys will watch Tim Dillon and Whitney Cummings. It will be the biggest thing
Him
I've
making
ever
fun of Whitney is pretty good, too, while they're doing it.
It is.
Did you already do it?
I already did it.
Okay.
I almost passed out laughing twice. Tim Dillon
Cooking.
is so fucking funny.
Is he berating Whitney?
I remember, just like a highlight. I remember at one point, and this isn't even remotely the funniest thing he said.
Right.
She said, I have a lot of good ideas. And Tim goes, 1. She goes, what? And he goes, 1, you've had one good idea that you shared in a room with other men who helped execute it. One good idea.
So they have that kind of relationship.
She goes, Tim, if you were making me dinner, what would you be making me today? And he goes, I don't know. Percocet pudding? Because it's got Percocets in it, Whitney. He's the fucking greatest. He's the fuck. And that
awesome.
episode will be very big because Tim is just, look, I have no money invested in the guy. He really is the best.
Yeah. Neither do I.
He's the best.
But he does.
Hysterical.
Not everyone cracks me up. He cracks me up. Omaha, of all places, quickly, why Omaha is just good middle America.
I'm very neurotic. So like when I knew what shoes you wear on your special,
Yeah.
I've rules to specials. And number 1 rule is I have to shoot specials in a market that I've performed in a lot that I have that has not seen the material yet. So
Okay. This is a
Perfect.
real last question.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have to do another special?
Because
I feel like even my guy goes, all right, your special did great. Let's get the next one. I go, fucking A, dude, let me just live with this material for a while because it's hard. You want it to be good and it's hard to just flip it.
After this tour 2023, I could be, the idea is to be able to take some time off to do other projects.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to do another project, you kind of get take your stand-up hat off and put your production hat on or your acting hat on.
Yeah.
And like, because stand-up for me is all encompassing and it's all I think about. It actually is even tough for me when I'm getting ready for a special because I'm not free thinking the way I am before, I'm really kind of dialed in on getting this one
Locking it in.
thing polished and sparkled up and like getting like putting all the rhinestones on it so
Nuance,
that but yeah, I feel like after this tour I'll have new material. I would love to keep doing specials, but I would like to be one of those guys that takes a couple years off and instead of doing them every fucking
say hi to your kids,
months,
does other things.
No, they're in college. I don't need them anymore.
Fuck them.
I'm getting ready to meet my second wife.
The idea that you
Full circle.
I got to meet this lady, right? She's getting out of high school.
the fact that you do 9-minute bits is I remember because I got John Lovitz into stand-up. They're going, you're funny. It's a good income stream, and he loves it. But I remember he'd written a few things. He goes, I'm out of ideas. How do I get any more material? And I say, well, take the material you have and expand it.
Yeah, you run
He
it.
goes, oh. And every time I see him, you've saved me a lot of time.
Well, have you ever
that's
done
the way he talks. But you doing 9-minute pieces based on a story,
Yeah.
because it seems like that's helpful in terms of getting to that hour.
Well, it's frustrating. So like there's a bit that I'm closing my special with now that happened fucking 4 years ago that I've been working on for 4 years. But you bring up in bits at the store, you'll be like, all right, did anyone done this? And then you start working it and you get a couple. For me, it's a couple nuggets inside it where you can get a few laughs. And then once you can do that, then you focus on the thickness of it, hoping you can figure out an ending.
Way out.
Once you get the
That's
ending,
the
then you can
tough
skinny
part.
everything out
Yeah.
and just tell a short story.
Yeah.
And
The
so
ending is the tough part.
endings are, everyone telling stories, the one mistake comics don't make is a story people need to know it's over.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, it's got to pop. It's got to,
Yeah.
and if you don't have the pop, don't record it. Wait till you got the pop. Wait till you got the thing where you say, fuck that bitch, this is Russia. Where everyone knows the story is complete. That's the end of the show.
Either applause or at least we know it's over. You're going to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated that on my special, I think I had 2 that were a little undercooked, but I loved them.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
the name of
Wait,
your
which
next
one were they?
special,
Which ones were
Undercooked.
they?
it was ones where I go, they beefed out since.
Yeah.
And I go, am I cheating? Because now it's a fully formed bit that's 3 minutes longer, but I go, but the nugget of it, which is a couple laughs,
Yeah.
but now it's turned into a whole thing, and you
That's
go,
all
fuck, but it's still, the root of it was that.
Well, that's the problem I have with hours is I literally have a bunch of undercooked stuff, and then the idea is which ones are the which
Cookable.
ones will be the best meals,
Yeah.
because sometimes you got to take ones that are even like I have like 2 bits that are fully cooked now,
Yeah.
but it just they don't fit in the hour. It just doesn't make sense in that hour.
Where do you put them in?
And I've told them a lot on the road, and I just got to take them out, and I can't use them for my next hour because I've already told them a bunch, so I got to write new stuff and then hope that I can take ingredients out and re-put them in somewhere.
Paprika.
I mean, I like, I don't know. Right now is my favorite part of an hour is I had everyone go watch it last week,
Yeah.
and they all signed off on it. Everyone's like, "Holy shit, that's a great hour!" And I was like, "For real?" Because I'm so close to it. I was like, "Even this part?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I go, "Even this part? Like you guys like this part?"
Even
Because
this
like there's one thing I did on I was like, what? And what about this one thing which I thought was really good? And they're like, it's not that good. And I was like, shut the fuck up. And so I've got the actual hour, but now's my favorite part where you like tonight I'm going to the store. I'm doing 3 shows, and all I need are certain tags inside jokes. So I just got to work on. I'll take the bit I need is wine tasting. I have a big thing about wine tasting, and so all I need are some good gems inside a wine tasting bit. So right now I'm going to go on stage and just talk about wine tasting,
David.
and the one line I wrote is which I thought was funny, and I'll tell it, but hopefully it makes a special. But you go into wine tasting and they just pour you like the little bits of wine, like we're about to get our assholes eaten by Michael Jackson, and so that's the bit I
That's
like.
a good word package.
Yeah, because that's how he did it, I think.
Jesus juice.
Yeah, Jesus shoes.
Yeah.
So like, I got like 10 of those written in my book of who would drink just a little bit of wine, why they would drink that little wine, and then how do I force that into. I walk in and they've got little bits of wine, like ... So that's the funnest part of stand up of a special for me is that, because I'll go through my hour and there's lazy writing. My dad opens 3 doors. First door, and it's my lazy writings is like, fuck you, cocksucker, eat my ass, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I should probably write a joke in there instead of just cursing.
You're like, it'll still work, but I should probably write a joke.
It'll still work.
All right.
Wow.
Thanks, Bert.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. It's I mean, like
This
I
was
said,
so much fun. You have an incredible amount of energy.
well, thank you. Well, I'm sober.
This is a toned down Bert,
Yeah.
by the way, for the audience.
We'll
It's
do
okay.
another drinking one.
I can do 2 drinks.
Oh, definitely. Just
Yeah.
give me
Dana can
some
do it.
Stellas or something like that.
I'll drink
I just
beers.
drink beers.
Cold beers are
Ice cold beers.
an ice cold beer buzz is
I'll go
out of this world.
That's right. That's after a run, or I go hiking and then a couple of
after
beers.
a run, they sparkle.
Well, just your whole body, you get on a whole other thing. So yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm a runner. You a runner?
Well, I was. Now I'm a hiker because I have a
Okay.
little bit of a hip thing. But I was a huge runner for years. Yeah,
I-
really into it.
I
So you
ran
can
5
still
miles, 5 miles this morning.
Oh,
run. Knees,
really?
hips, everything good.
Overweight, I feel a little more in my knees and in my feet.
You look pretty good, though.
Well, it's because I don't just look bloated and splotchy because I've been drinking. I 20 days off the sauce, so I feel like And I've lost a little bit of weight, but not as much as you'd think. So
You look good.
Right. But yeah, it must feel great. But yeah, you're good with the shoes and everything. You know all about your pronation,
Oh, I'm a
supination.
hardcore pronator.
Okay.
I film myself
you know
running
that you
in
need-
slow
yeah.
motion,
Yourself out.
and you can
Yeah.
see me actually pronate. It's really
Pronation
horrible.
is good to a
that
point,
when you get a
but
boner?
too much is not good. Pronation, we're talking, it's
I
shocking.
know. I gotta go.
Anyway, no, that's a great habit. Running is
Yeah.
awesome. I think it's the purest, wonderful, Oh,
By the way, I might have
catch you
met
later.
my soulmate today. We
Between
have
the
so
fear
much
of
in
flying,
common.
running, and the beer buzz after the running. Yeah, we'll fly somewhere together.
Let's fly, go run, and drink.
Yes, that's it. That's it. We'll definitely do that
I
for
love
sure.
it.
Yeah.
This has been a podcast presentation of Cadence 13. Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes. Available now for free wherever you get your podcast.
No joke, folks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13, executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13, and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment.
The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman with production and engineering support from Serena Regan and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.